Hi guys, good evening and welcome to today's live coding session. So today we'll be continuing in this live coding session from what we discussed in our last live coding session. So in our last live coding session, I mentioned that in this live coding session we are going to try to get KubeFlow. We try to set it up um, locally and see if we were able to get past the bottlenecks that we were facing in terms of the bottlenecks we're facing the bottlenecks we're facing in terms of resources. Okay, so what happened was that the I got another 16 gigabytes RAM, so to take my system up to 32 gigabytes, just to see if we can eventually get KubeFlow to run with those we can eventually get KubeFlow to run with those specifications. So what we'll be doing here is, because I think I plan to do this also in our last stage, but sorry. So can you guys hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you, sir. Good, sir.
Yes, exactly. So what we'll be going through today is going to be like we'll be going through some documentation and we'll try to follow it on my local PC, and we'll see if with the let me just share my entire screen so you can see all I have. So if I show you my tax manager now, so on my tax manager, so if I show you, you can see that now I have from memory, you can see that the total memory I have now is around 32 gigabyte of memory. So that was previously it was 16, so I just upgraded it to 32 gigabytes, and I have 14 gig available. So what will happen is I'll try to run KubeFlow now. So we'll try to run KubeFlow. I know KubeFlow will start, that is sure. Or is it should I say KubeFlow will start? I know Kubernetes will start, and then so we'll try to get KubeFlow running on the system also. So before I start that, let me show you. So these are like the documentations that will be following. So um this documentation here was a comment from someone. Okay, blah blah blah, then keep flow light. So this was a comment from someone, and you can see that notes this has been superseded by this particular one. So if you go to this, okay, let me go back and open this in another tab. So if we go to this particular link, okay, yeah, this is this here. So um this is how you get started with KubeFlow using micro K8. So I think we went through some of this the last time where I showed you how you get all of this done. So micro K, so all of these steps they list them um for Ubuntu system, so micro K8 and all. But since we have already been successfully been able to get micro K8 working on our system, so what we can try to do is we can try to use the Windows version of micro K8 to see if we can get this up and running. And also with more research, I realized that there was a way where with Minikube, okay, people have been trying to use Minikube because there's this provision on Minikube with Docker where if you need a lot of memory, for example, and you don't have that memory available, so Docker and Kubeflow in their latest version, I think from what I've been reading, they have this opportunity to give you virtual memory, virtual compute is what they call it. So you don't have that memory available, but there's a way you can configure your containers to act as if you have the memory available. I mean, just to get it to work. So um, it's something that I've been researching on that. That will probably be one of our fallback, because my aim is to try and ensure that at least we get Skillflow up and running before the end of this cohort, even if it's not in this stage. We'll just ensure that at one point or the other we have a working version of Skillflow. So in the end, if it happens that all our local all our local trials are failing, then we have no choice than to use a cloud provider, and the cloud provider will be using is Azure. Okay, so if everything we are doing locally has been failing, the reason why I've just been trying to ensure that we're able to get it up locally is because I know it might be expensive. Not everyone can have hands-on with Azure. So if there's a way we can get it up locally, then at least people that are able to meet the minimum specifications for their PC can also work on it locally. So that will give you a lot of hands-on. But if you just
Sir,
go straight to, sorry,
sir, can I have a question, sir?
yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Just a quick one, sir. Thanks so much, sir. The help you gave me or those links to learn about varieties on AWS really helpful. Thanks so much, sir. And, what I can't hear you, sir.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, sir. When I perused through them, I found out that I still needed to install EKSCTL locally.
Yes,
I thought
EKS,
everything I would need would just be the cloud. I would bypass my system. And that again gave me some error. I don't know, maybe I'm the one missing it.
ah, I see. Let me just, but EKSCTL is a command line tool that
Yes,
what
I needed to
happens is,
install it locally. I haven't posted the error message on the Slack channel a while ago. I've tried
I
all I
see.
could. Both the two links were asking for, even from the AWS web, they wanted me to install EKSCTL. Since I was running away from kubectl, I now have to
Yeah,
do with EKSCTL.
EKSCTL works with, but then this is looking like a, because I'm checking through this, and this is looking like a, the remote file does not exist. Okay, attempting to get headers unauthorized or forbidden URL. So let me go through the link that you are using to see. So the link is actually downloading the, why don't you try, instead of using chocolate, I think there's a way you can, they have the binary that you can use without using chocolate. If chocolate, like there's an eksctl.exe, like based on this link that I just saw now, I just like downloaded this. So I don't know, I'll try and check this out. But then chocolate should not give any issue because it's like
I
it's
installed
native
Chocolate
for Windows.
successfully.
Yes, chocolate, yes. So chocolate for eksctl should not give any issue because I mean the last
I
time
don't
I used
expect
the
I will just
KS.
install this. I'll be running with my commands or color.
Yes. So if you have EKSCTL installed, you don't have any issue because it's not going to. EKSCTL is the only thing that will be using your local system. Every other thing, the provisioning, everything is going to be on your AWS cloud. So I'll try and see if there's another way to install, like install
All right.
manually instead of using Chocolate.
All
Because
right,
based
sir.
on this now, I just downloaded the eksctl.exe file. Okay, so I believe with the eksctl.exe file, if you double click on it, let me just
Okay.
try and do that.
All right,
You
sir.
guys
I'll
can,
do
you
that.
can see my screen here. I believe you
I
can see
can
my
see. I
screen.
can. Okay.
Exactly. So when I clicked on this link here, any of these links here, it started this download. You see that the download is starting. Okay.
Okay.
So when this got downloaded, so let me try and go. I'm extracting the file that was downloaded now. Let me see the so this is the exe file that was downloaded. So if I double click on this, let me see if this can, if this is a GUI installer. Let me just let me run it and see if it will work. Okay, so basically with this, you are, this is all you need. Okay, you see this EKSCTL2, that's all you need. So basically, if I come here now, if I open this folder in terminal, if I open this folder in my terminal and I do something like ek eksctl help, something like this. Okay, does not recognize it. Let me try this dot slash. You can see, so this is eksctl anywhere, create cluster, delete resources. So this, the why they are telling you to use chocolate is because they want it to be accessible everywhere. But basically, with this file that I just downloaded, this exe file that I just downloaded using this link, if you download this file and the folder that this file, because it downloaded as a zip file here, so after downloading as a zip file, I extracted it here. So this is the exe file. So inside this folder that this exe application is present, if I open this folder in terminal or in command line, be it PowerShell, no matter what I open it in, as long as I do dot slash eksctl, every command that you need to follow will work successfully. So if using
That is to
triplicity is
go and
good,
add binary in the part again, sir.
no, not necessarily. So the only reason why you might have to add it to binary is if you don't want to be, you can see that in this my command line now, I have this dot and slash. But if I remove this dot and slash, what will happen is it will tell me that it does not recognize EKSCTL. So the major reason why we tell people to add things to paths is because we want you to be able to use this EKSCTL anywhere. Okay, we want you to have to be able to use it without having to do this. So when you do this, because you are in the folder that the EKSCTL is present, it will work. But immediately you remove the dot and this forward slash and you just do EKSCTL, you see that it is not available. So if you want to go ahead to add it to path, if you after you add it to path, I believe I've shown something about to add to path before. So if you go ahead and if you want to add it to path, you just need to add this folder to path. If you add this folder to path, then you won't have to add these dots, this full stop and the forward slash. You can just do EKSCTL and it will run successfully. But basically, once you have this exe file, that's all. That's basically what you need for EKSCTL, and with that, you are good to go.
All right. Thank you,
Wait,
sir.
yeah, no problem. So can you guys just give me a few, just give me like 5 seconds. Rain is about to start, and I need to cover because there's no power supply. So the gen is just give me a few minutes, and I'll be back.
All right.
Hi guys, sorry for that delay. Um so let's just get to it, and let me start the whole process of multipass. So if you remember correctly, the last time you come to my downloads, we downloaded Macro K8 installer. Okay, so before I start this, let me go and uninstall my multipass again. So let me come here, system, apps, then install them. So I want to uninstall the current micro kits or even multi-pass on the system. Okay, so uninstall, uninstall. Okay, so now that it has been uninstalled, so let's go through the whole process of installing microkit again. Yes. Okay, I agree. Add microkits to parts. So yes, let's set up multipass with Hyper-V. Multipass to parts. Next, then install. I think this was where I was having. So that yeah, this is an issue. That Hyper-V, my Hyper-V should be enabled. Yeah, let's see. So the memory is 4, so I can sufficiently take my memory to around 10. Okay, so I know I have up to 10, but for my disk I don't think I have up to 50. I don't think I have up to 50. So let me see, what do I have? I have 28. Let me use 20 and save with that. Okay, so next. So this is creating microkit. So I think we have gone through this in the past. So we made microkit to install um the KubeFlow. So after we have microkit installed, I went through all of the processes the last time. So they said at least 4 cores, 32 GB of RAM, and 50 GB disk of space. So even though we still don't meet up to this, but then I believe that with this now we should at least be able to get something up and running. So version of charm, blah, blah, blah. So we are in the first step, installing microkits. So now that we have installed microkits, we now need to enable all of this add-on. Okay, so this is the next step. Once this gets installed, so we have to wait for this image to get completed. Okay, so we still have to wait. So once this gets completed, then the next thing is we are going to be enabling all of these add-ons. So these add-ons are needed for KubeFlow to work successfully. So it is now downloading. So you can see this solution here, this sudo snap install microcase blah blah blah. So that's what this process here is doing. So instead of using 1.6 channel, it's using 1.28. Sorry, instead of 1.26, we're using channel 1.28. But then that does not mean, as long as our microcase gets installed from whatever channel, as long as the channel is supported, then we are good to go. Okay, so microkit has been downloaded. So it is trying to install microkits in the virtual machine. So this multipass, like this multipass is like a virtual machine that runs Ubuntu, and then the Ubuntu is um, where we are running our microkits. So this is the configured way for people to use microkits on system, because microkits is exactly. So I think we are done with that. So now I can say finish. So if I come to my terminal now and I do micro k8 status, I should see um with multipass an error occurred. So let me go into the virtual machine and see what is happening. multipass. So this is the virtual machine that is running exactly. So let me open the shell and let us try to see. Yes, microkit. So sudo. So you can see that microkit is running in this virtual machine. So let me come back here and see. I mean, we should have running also exactly. So with this now, our microkit is running successfully. So our microkit is now running on this PC. So if you want to do, there are some commands. The reason why I went on to open this virtual machine, you can see that these two now they are basically sending add-ons, enable DNS, blah blah blah. So whatever you are running in your Windows PowerShell, as long as you are saying microkit, what's happening is that it's actually running via this virtual machine. The major difference now is that there are some things you want to run in this virtual machine that Windows cannot accept. So that's why you see me that I'm opening up the actual shell of the virtual machine so that we're able to run Ubuntu commands effectively. So the next thing now is that we want to enable all of these add-ons. So I'll just lift this directly. I'll copy this, okay, and I'll paste this here. So one thing you should see is that when we first run microkit status, you can see that add-on, the only add-on enabled are DNS, elm3. So you can see that, for example, ingress is disabled. You can see that RBAC, all of these add-ons are disabled. Previously, when after you have installed microkit, you would have seen in part of these add-ons under disabled, you see KubeFlow. So what will just happen is that once you enable KubeFlow, the way you are saying microkit enable DNS, host path storage, blah blah blah. So you can see host path storage is currently disabled. Once you run this command, it will get enabled. So previously there was also an add-on called KubeFlow. So once you just say microkit enable KubeFlow, everything that you need for KubeFlow to work will get installed automatically. But unfortunately, the latest versions of microkit don't support it. If you download an older version of microkit, let's say another version of like 1.24, I think 1.22 or thereabouts, you still see that add-on. The major issue is that when you now try to do enable the add-on, there will be some things that it will try to download that it will not find, because some of the GitHub repositories where all of the configuration files are stored for that version, they have been archived already, and you cannot download stuff from an archived version, and there's no support. So that's why, although there are ways, if someone had installed that version then and you are still using it now, it might still work on your system. But once you want to make a clean installation, it's always best to follow the standard, because if you want to try and install an outdated version, then any errors you face, there will be no way to find solutions to that error. So I will do insufficient. Yeah. So anytime you want to run a command on Ubuntu and you are seeing something like insufficient permissions, what you just need to do is you need to add sudo. So sudo means you are sudo is like you saying that give me administrator, I want to use administrator rights to run this command. So if you are the administrator of the system, or when you are running sudo for the first time, to ask you for the administrator password. But if there is no password on the system, just like in this system where there is no password, once you are running sudo, it will not ask you for a password. And you can see now that it's already enabled. So ingress is now enabled. MetaLab controller, we are waiting for it to be ready before it gets enabled. So Meta LLB. So we just have to wait for this to get ready. So once it's ready, exactly. So once it's ready, then it will get enabled also. I think that's the last thing. So it's the Meta LLB, and then the next thing is RBAC. So RBAC, the full meaning of RBAC is role-based access control. So role-based access control is what we use to ensure that people that are not meant to have access to our Kubernetes cluster. So now if I do sudo microkey status, why is it not running? So let me try it without sudo microkey status. Okay. So you can see high availability. So you can see now that all of these add-ons have now been enabled in our micro-K8 cluster. So you can see micro-K8 is running, high availability is no, manager node you don't need, but now you can see ingress is already what enabled. Meta load balancer, so this is a load balancer, it has been enabled. Role based access control for authorization has been enabled, and storage also has been enabled. So now that all of these are enabled, um we can now move on to the next step here. So the next step here now, so you see micro K, so this is the output that we're meant to see. So if you expand this out, you can see high availability, no, enabled, blah blah blah. So this is exactly, so we are still on the right step. So now our micro K8 is installed. So what we now need to do now, we now need to install Juju. So Juju is a bootstrapper that helps to install packages. Just like there are a lot of, just like for Python, we have pip. That's why I can do something like pip install. So most of these standard workflows, they always have their own package installers. So Juju is another one of this, and that's what is was also created by Canonical. So I'll just copy this also, and I will come here to use sudo snap to try and install this also. So you can see it will download this version of Juju. So all of this now is running in the Ubuntu shell that is running the micro K8. So this is how you can get this working on the, so with this is as though you are working on an Ubuntu system. So all of these actions they were recommended for Ubuntu system, but because we have this virtual machine that is able to run Ubuntu on our Android, on our Windows operating system, then we can come inside it and start running all of these commands. So I'll come here now. So there might be a missing folder. So this is just to do like a check. So this has been done. So I will check our micro K8 again to ensure that it is running. So our micro K8 is still running. So now what this does is that with this step, so we'll get our micro config, because when you want to use Juju and you want to add, what this is going to do, you want to configure your micro K8 to work properly with this Juju controller that you're using, because Juju has a default controller, but you can change the default service that your Juju is working with, because all of these are like different services. So to change the default that the Juju controller is working with, you have to first get your, so if we just before I do that, let me try and do something like this. If I run this one, so let me remove this away and let me say sudo. So this is the configuration for micro K8. So this is this config. So this micro K8 config, this is the configuration. So this configuration file now, everything in this configuration, when we now run this command, okay, when we run this command, what we are saying is that get all of this configuration file. You see that I keep having to have sudo. So get all of this configuration file. So this slash, this fake slash in the middle in Linux is used to run two commands together. So what you are saying is that the result of this command, use it in this use it in this particular next command. So this command will run first, and then after that this command will be running, and to use the result of this particular first command. So this, we are going to add K8. So add K8 is Juju. Add K8. K8 is another name for Kubernetes cluster, basically. So what this add K8 does is that Juju add K8 adds the configuration for a Kubernetes cluster into your Juju. And what this, so this my K8 is just a name. You can name it any other thing. You can name it my KubeFlow K8 or whatever. But this is just the default. I'm just going with the default. So before you can add a Kubernetes cluster to your Juju, you need to have the config of that Kubernetes cluster, because you can have more than one Kubernetes cluster running. So for you to know the particular cluster that you want to, for Juju to know that okay, this is the cluster where you want to run all of these commands, you need to get the config of that cluster and pass it to Juju. So I will do this now, and then I'll press enter. So you can see it has downloaded the latest public cloud information. So all of these in the back end, what is happening is you can see K8 substrates has been added as cloud to my K8. You can now bootstrap. So if you want to do bootstrap micro K8, you got anything, any command you are running as a bootstrap, you can see the next thing is we are bootstrapping. So any command you are going to run, this command now is we are going to be running this command. So just to be on the safer side, so I'll add sudo. Okay, so I'm going to be bootstrapping. So anytime I'm referring to my K8, what am I referring to? I'm referring to this this configuration of this Kubernetes cluster, this micro K8 Kubernetes cluster. So I want to add this UK8SX permission denied. Okay, let me remove sudo and then run this again. So you can see it's creating it's creating the controller on the Kubernetes, then it's bootstrapping, creating the K8 resources and all of these stuffs. So there are a whole lot of things that are going on in the backend that if you want to know about it, you probably have to do a lot of it. If you see this quick start guide also, you can see that it's basically doing the same thing. Then this is the next thing we're going to be doing, Juju add model KubeFlow. Okay, and that's what they add here, add model KubeFlow. So it's downloading all of the images that will be required for KubeFlow to start in this Kubernetes cluster. So let's wait for this. So it will take some time for the images to download. I just hope the 20 gig I provided is enough for the images to download successfully. So you can see that now on my own system I have just about 12 gig left because around 20 gig has been allocated to the Kubernetes cluster. So you can see that the bootstrap agent is now started. So it's connecting Juju controller at this. So all of these are things that probably a lot of people, even I myself, might not be able to do manually. So that's what Juju is doing. So Juju is just doing all of these processes for us in the back end. So it's verifying the accessibility, and then you can see the bootstrap. So the controller is now available. So with this, once this controller is available, we can now start. They are like standard models. So you cannot just, they are like models that are available on Juju. So one of the models available on Juju is the KubeFlow model, and which is one to use. So we want to add a model for KubeFlow to the controller. So I'm going to copy this now. Okay, and now let's paste this to add this particular model. So you can see this model has been added and the credential is for user admin. So we are with credentials my K8 for user admin. So the credential, the password is going to be my K8 and the user is admin when you want to log in. So the major difference now that is going to be different, the thing that I'm going to do differently from here is that instead of deploying KubeFlow, I'm going to use this tip here that I'm going to deploy KubeFlow Lite. You can see that in this, what this guy is saying, say that the full KubeFlow bundle will require a lot of resources, at least 2 CPUs, 16 GB of free RAM, and 50 GB. So unless you know that's what you want, blah blah blah. So we know that we don't probably have the resources to match. So to do this, instead of deploying, because you can see that in the standard documentation, what they deployed is KubeFlow, the full model. So what we are going to be doing is that instead of deploying the full model of KubeFlow, we'll be deploying KubeFlow Lite. So KubeFlow Lite and the KubeFlow is just that it's almost the same thing. It's just that there are some. It's just like Facebook and Facebook Lite for people that use things like that. It's just a watered down version of the main stuff to ensure that okay, at least we have the basic minimum version working. So because to try and ensure that we at least get this to run on our system even if we don't have all of these resources, that's why we are going to be going with light. So I'll press enter now, and then hopefully you can see, so it has located the bundle. and it has started downloading everything that will be needed for this bundle. So this is where another issue. If your network connection is not as fast enough, it's possible that at this point you will get a network issue. And if you get a network issue at this point, you can retry 2 or 3 times. I'm talking based on my past experience, that after you can see channel blah 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 HG. So these I already have a network issue. So the last time, and that's because of rain is falling, so the bandwidth is not the best at the moment. The last time when I tried to deploy it, the first time, I think I was in the penultimate charm before I got a network issue. And once I retried 3 times, there was nothing I could do again, because once you retry 3 times, the socket that is being used to download, I don't know if it's just a system issue or something, the socket gets stuck. You just start getting an error. So hopefully this is the second time, and I hope that this second time at least we can get everything to download. The last time, anytime once I had this error, and I had the error up to like 3 or 4 times, by the fourth time, any once I do deploy KubeFlow lights, I'll just start getting an error. I had to like uninstall my multipass numerous times to ensure that at the point where I was installing it, I had a good network connection, then everything could get deployed. So hopefully, I hope with this, because with the rain that is falling, the bandwidth has been very very bad since Monday. But let's see, hopefully all of this will get uploaded, because we have located that this we have passed the step where we were previously before it got a network issue. So it's deploying all of the applications. So all of these are things that we might have had to do ourselves in the Kubernetes cluster if there was nothing like Juju to help us bootstrap everything. So previously, back in the days, I mean a long time ago, these are things that people that wanted to work with Kubernetes might have to KubeFlow might have to set up themselves manually, writing files to do all of this deploying and everything. But you can see that this deployment of the bundle has been done correctly. But now you can see that there's an issue. So you can see located, so what we just saw here, I can see that if it goes successfully, you see this deployment of bundle completed. But the issue now, what happens now is that the bundle is not ready. So if you read this part, it means that all of the components have been kickstarted. However, this does not mean that KubeFlow is ready. After deployment, the various components of the bundle need some time to initialize and establish communication with each other. This will take somewhere between 15 minutes and an hour, depending on how fast your system is. And how fast your system is now is not your own local system, is your virtual machine. And what determines how fast a virtual machine is the amount of RAM you give your virtual machine, and also what the amount of space that your virtual machine has left. So if I do Juju status now, you see that it will show a lot of stuff, and some of them will be like a field, some of them you can see workload, waiting, blah blah. I have nothing that is ready yet. You can see everything is waiting, and you can see that they said it that there's also an issue. So Juju status blah blah blah. You should see the main thing, we want all the statuses to become active, indicating that the bundle is ready. Don't be surprised if some of the statuses change to blocked or error every now and then. This is expected behavior. However, if the components stuck in the same error state, consult the troubleshooting steps below. So it's possible. So that's where the issue is now, because this command, if I try to run this command, this watch that will periodically stay the watch, um it does not sprint well on the system because it is not a native Ubuntu system. Let me try to run it. So if I do Juju status again, you see that we still have some stuff waiting. There's nothing that is active yet. It's still installing. Some of the agents are initializing, some of the agents are installing. So that's why installing Kubernetes locally anyway, it takes some time before you can get it up and running. So let me try this. The last time I tried to do this, so what this command does is that the Juju status, so this word means that repeat this process every 5 seconds. So the last time I tried to do this, I did not get a good result. So you can see this is what it will just be showing. But now it's actually showing better than the last time. So you can see some of the statuses are already changing from waiting. Like this one is already in maintenance. This one is already in unknown. Some of them are in waiting. So After 5 seconds, the um status will change again. So you can see now that it has gone another 5 seconds again. So this is waiting, allocating. So every time agent and change is rising. So that's the issue now. We don't know when this is going. So depending on how fast the system is, in some systems with, let's say, about that 32 gigabyte of RAM available, this might get done in like 5 minutes, 15 minutes, sorry, between 15 minutes and 30. But on a system such as this one, where we have just, I think I allocated just 10 gigabyte of RAM to this particular Ubuntu cluster, and then this is it. But immediately the status of everything, so you can see this agent is executing already. So some things are actually going. I believe with this, I think this might work. I believe this might work. Hopefully this might work. But then immediately this every status gets to active, the status of everything. So you can see that most of this, the status is still on waiting. So immediately we get our status from this. Now this scale is already one. So this KFP, this KFP means KubeFlow pipeline. So once this, before it was on maintenance, now it's on one. So this one means it has probably started already. So in the next one, very soon, this should change to active. So all of these are maintenance are things that are running. So it's installing the agents, initializing, downloading, blah blah blah. So all of these are things that we have to wait. You can see that this agent is waiting, is idle already. So instead of allocating, it's already in idle. So this is executing. So a lot of things are going on where it is doing a lot of installation and doing all of this. But the main goal is that if all of this gets to active, then our KubeFlow pipeline locally is going to get set up. So because I don't know how long this will take, rather than wasting our time on this, I'll just probably take 2 or 3 questions, and we can end the session. But this is basically um the PC, the RAM size of the PC I'm using now is 32 gigabytes in total, and out of the 32 gigabytes, I allocated 10 gigabytes of RAM to the virtual machine. So it's 32 gigabytes, and I allocated 10 gigabytes of RAM to the virtual machine. So that's why we can have this. So you can see we have one workload active already. So this one is active. Some of them are still working. So we are still waiting. So this is active. So the aim is we want all of this to change from waiting to active. So once all of this change from waiting to active, that means our Kubernetes, our KubeFlow pipeline, our KubeFlow is up already. And this is not the full KubeFlow. This is KubeFlow Lite. The last time I tried to do the normal KubeFlow, I could not even see this output. It was just taking a lot of time, installing a lot of stuff. So, but this is basically how it would be to set up KubeFlow locally. So I will leave this for a while, even after this has ended, and I will try to see if this gets active. So if this gets active, I will not delete the virtual machine, and next live coding session, then we should be able to see KubeFlow running. We'll be able to access the dashboard. We'll be able to see KubeFlow pipelines, and we'll also be able to run a KubeFlow notebook on our system. So we have two active already. So this is one and two. We are still waiting for the rest. So that's how it is to get KubeFlow active. So the major issue here, most times, is just the capacity of the system. So the higher the capacity of the system, the easier it is for you to be able to get all of these things working. So I actually wanted us to have done this since last week, but the issue was the RAM I got last week um was bad, so my system could not work. Immediately I placed in the RAM in the system, my system was just rebooting. So I had to go there early today to go and request for another RAM. So after getting a compatible RAM with the system, that's when I was sure that we'll probably be able to get this up and running today. So that's basically what we are going to be talking about today. So is there any other question from anybody before we end the session?
I want to reflect on which particular link quick university I posted. I tried to download the binary file .txt, but it's giving me some
It was downloaded as a
error
zip
that
file. Let me just go back to the
yes,
message. I
I
think
even
all
tried
of
to
them are the
link.
same. All of them are the same, but let me just copy this one and paste it on the. So let me confirm that this is correct again before I paste it. Yes, this is correct. So I'll paste this on the chat page. So with this, sorry, with this you can download the binary file for the EKSCTL.
All right.
Yes. All right, guys. So, any other question? So one thing I would like to say is, although I know it might not be possible to, for you guys, I mean, based on depending on the system you have and the capacity of the system, you might not be able to run. So you can see, just as they said we should not wait. If you see, we should not get afraid if you see block or error. That is expected behavior. So the hope is that with all of this, we can see something working. Hopefully, low disk space, so you can see I'm running out of disk space because this is taking a lot. So close, I'll try and see what I can do to try and create more space on my system to try and hopefully get this working. So I'll just keep waiting on my own end to see if we can get, if this gets all to active, then that would be very very good. Because I mean, so this is hook field installed, blah blah blah. I just hope this works, because then they said we should not, I mean, it is here that um don't be surprised if change block to error every now and then. So hopefully, as they have said, this is expected behavior and as it configures itself. So let's hope that in a few minutes as I'm waiting, I'll be able, all of this will get resolved and then we can see active and all. So that's it for today's live coding session. Yeah, and I was saying that I know it's possible that probably to the end of this cohort, there might not be, like, I mean, on your own end, you might not be able to like run KubeFlow locally or even practice with it. But then, the knowledge is the principal thing. So once at least the knowledge is there, it prepares one for the opportunity for when it's available. So let me put it that way. So even if it's possible that um there's no access to a PC that can run KubeFlow, or you don't have access to an Azure or a cloud provider, I implore you to just try and keep learning. And over time, because I believe that over time it has been getting easier to try and run these things. Previously, even with a system as mine, I don't think it will be I don't think it will still be possible, because a lot of things that used to be very very difficult then have been streamlined. So over time, in another 1 year, 6 months, 1 year, it's possible that um there will be a way to ensure that even with lesser computation power, people can still run this. So just try and ensure that the knowledge is not lost and you keep updating your knowledge base as frequently as you can, and then this will ensure that when the opportunity does present itself, you are able to get all of this working. And also on my end, like I stated when we started the session, I got new information that it's possible that even with your Docker and Minikube, as long as if you have Minikube installed, then there's a way you can configure a cluster to act as though it had that much memory. Even though your system does not have that much memory, you can allocate them virtually. So it sees this as a virtual memory, and then with that, you can get things working. Even though it might take a while because it's a virtual memory, it's trying to configure it, but then I heard that it's a way to ensure that it's a way that can get you up and running using KubeFlow and Kubernetes on your system. So I also look into that to try and see that if that works also, then I can provide that information to you guys, and you also be able to use that to have hands-on experience with your PC. So thank you all for attending to this session. Um, in the next live coding session, hopefully we'll have a version of KubeFlow working. Um, and with this version of KubeFlow, we can start working with KubeFlow. But the amount of errors and blocks I'm seeing here, I really hope that this works. But then if it doesn't, as I've stated previously, we'll probably have to fall back to using Azure, and then we'll be able to show KubeFlow. So good day guys, and see you on the next live coding session.
Thank you,
Bye.
sir.
Yeah, no problem.